People said nothing ever changed in Ravenbrook, same quiet streets, same gossip at the diner, same church bells tolling on Sundays. But change had slipped in unnoticed, wearing the face of a man they never expected to matter. His name was Marcus Ellison. And the truth was, Ravenbrook didn't know what to do with him. He thought of his mother's words back in Atlanta before he moved to Ravenbrook. "Son, if you go where they don't want you, be ready. They'll test your patience, your pride, and even your safety. But don't let them test your soul." Stay with us as we delve into this chilling story of how one man's effort and sacrifices changed the lives and families in the community. Subscribe to the channel for more true crime stories that teaches truth and lessons. By day, he was just a counselor, a black man running a modest practice on the corner of Maple Street, his office tucked between a laundromat and a fading antique store. But by night, when the town went still, he sat in silence with a drawer full of letters. Letters not of thanks, but of hate. "Leave. You don't belong here. Go back where you came from." Some typed, some handwritten, some smeared with anger so raw it bled through the paper. He never showed them to anyone. Instead, he kept them stacked neatly, like evidence for a trial that never came. Because Marcus understood something Ravenbrook didn't: when people fear you, it's not always because you failed. Sometimes it's because you've done too much good. And in Ravenbrook, Marcus had done too much good. The problem wasn't that Marcus failed. The problem was that he succeeded, far beyond what the town expected, or wanted. Teenagers who once carved their rebellion into bathroom stalls now spoke of college plans after sitting in his office. Couples who were one argument away from divorce walked out of his door holding hands again. Even old men who had grown bitter and lonely found themselves laughing after his quiet words cut through the gloom. In a town where power was held by a few families, this sudden wave of loyalty to an outsider unsettled the balance. Richard Vaughn, a wealthy businessman with more pride than kindness, once sneered over his drink at the local tavern. "Mark my words, if we don't stop him now, that counselor will be running this town one day." The bartender muttered, half under his breath. Would that really be the worst thing? Kids don't drink here as much since he showed up. The next day, that bartender nearly lost his job. Marcus's office became a target. One night, his windows shattered. Another week, his car tires were slashed. His mailbox set ablaze. And once, bold in their malice, someone scrawled "out" in red paint across his door. He didn't call the police. He knew how that would go. A shrug, a report filed, and nothing else. So, he painted over the word. Replaced the tires. Bought another mailbox. And to soften the sting, he even cracked a joke to Tommy, a restless 15-year-old who came in after skipping school for weeks. "Why don't you just leave, Mr. Ellison?" Tommy asked, staring at the painted-over door. Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. "If I moved every time someone told me to go, I'd be living on Mars by now. And trust me, Tommy, the pizza up there is terrible." Tommy laughed, and for a moment, the ugliness outside didn't matter. But behind the vandalism, something darker brewed. A petition began circulating, calling Marcus unfit to serve Ravenbrook because he didn't represent the community's values. Flyers advertising his services disappeared overnight. A quiet but determined campaign moved to choke out his influence. And yet, every time they tried to erase him, his waiting room filled again. Mothers, fathers, children, couples, all sitting, waiting for the man they trusted. He wasn't just surviving. He was growing. And Ravenbrook hated that. One evening, as Marcus locked his office, a sleek black car pulled up. Out stepped Mayor Henry Lawson, Ravenbrook's most powerful figure, silver hair, sharp suit, and a reputation for keeping the town's secrets in his back pocket. Marcus stiffened. Politicians didn't visit him. At least, not where anyone could see. The mayor's voice was low, almost pleading. "Counsellor Ellison, we need to talk." Marcus raised an eyebrow. Is this about the petition again? Henry shook his head. His expression was raw, almost desperate. It's about my children. For months, two troubled teens had been slipping into Marcus's office under false names. A boy and a girl. Privileged, sharp-tongued, angry at the world. Marcus had known who they were from the first session, the mayor's children. But he never exposed them. Because to Marcus, confidentiality wasn't negotiable. It was sacred. And now, those same children were turning their lives around. The boy had dropped his drinking. The girl started writing again, her poems filled with light instead of rage. The mayor's eyes burned with gratitude as he said, I don't know how you did it, but for the first time in years, my kids, they're whole again. And I owe you. The following week, Ravenbrook woke to shocking news. The mayor had shut down the petition against Marcus and announced a new office, Director of Community Wellness. And who better to lead it than the man half the town wanted gone? On the day of the announcement, Marcus stood at the podium. His eyes swept over the crowd, some clapping with respect, others clapping only because the mayor was watching. And some not clapping at all, their silence heavier than any insult. With a faint smile, Marcus said, to those who told me to go back where I belong. I did. Right here. Because where people hurt, where families break, where children cry, that's exactly where I belong. Applause rang out, echoing off Ravenbrook's old brick walls. But in the corner, Richard Vaughan stood stiff, lips pressed into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. That night, after the cheers had faded, another letter slipped beneath Marcus's office door. This one wasn't like the others. It wasn't an insult. It threatened. You think you've won. But we haven't even started yet. Marcus stared at the words, heart tightening. Because if Ravenbrook had taught him anything, it was this: hate doesn't vanish. It waits. And he knew, the real battle was only beginning. The rain came hard over Ravenbrook that night, hammering rooftops and flooding gutters as though the heavens themselves had decided to wash the town clean. Marcus sat in his office, staring at the latest letter. The words glared back at him. You think you've won. But we haven't even started yet. It wasn't just anger anymore. It was a promise. The counselor leaned back in his chair, the leather squeaking in protest. For a moment, he allowed himself to feel the weight of it all. The victories, the threats, the applause that felt half-earned and half-forced. He thought of his mother's words back in Atlanta before he moved to Ravenbrook. Son, if you go where they don't want you, be ready. They'll test your patience, your pride, and even your safety. But don't let them test your soul. Marcus rubbed his temples. His soul was intact, yes. But his patience? That was thinning. The next morning, Marcus opened his office early. Rainwater still dripped from the eaves when a knock startled him. Standing in the doorway was a woman he recognized instantly, Martha Vaughan. Richard Vaughan's wife. Her eyes darted nervously as if she were being watched. Mr. Ellison, may I come in? Marcus gestured her inside, hiding his surprise. This was Ravenbrook's unspoken rule-breaker, the wife of his loudest critic sitting in the office her husband swore he would shut down. Martha's voice shook. I don't know who else to talk to. Richard thinks he's protecting the town, but he's destroying our family. He's been angrier lately. Drinking more. She stopped, biting her lip, as though afraid even the walls might report her. Marcus leaned forward gently. Mrs. Vaughan, you're safe here. Whatever you say doesn't leave this room. Her shoulders slumped, relief softening her face. Then please, help me. Help my children. They're scared of him. Marcus's chest tightened. The irony wasn't lost on him. The same man orchestrating campaigns to destroy him had a family quietly breaking apart behind closed doors. He agreed to see her children discreetly. But he also knew, if Richard ever found out, the storm in Ravenbrook would turn into a hurricane. Over the next weeks, Marcus began counseling the Vaughan children. A teenage daughter, brittle and withdrawn, and a younger son whose silence was louder than words. They came in secretly, always at odd hours, always looking over their shoulders. Marcus used humor to ease them in. "Y'all walk in here like spies on a mission. Should I be calling you Agent Vaughan and 00 Kid?" For the first time, the boy cracked a smile. But beneath the laughs, their fear was real. They spoke of their father's temper, the way his voice turned the house into a battlefield. They spoke of a mother trying to hold everything together while slowly unraveling herself. Marcus listened, guided, encouraged. And little by little, he saw sparks of healing. Yet he also knew that if Richard caught wind of this, Marcus wouldn't just face hate letters. He'd face war. Meanwhile, the rest of the town wasn't quiet. The petition had failed, but the whispers grew louder. A new rumor spread like wildfire: Marcus was manipulating the mayor for political gain. Flyers with his face appeared in shop windows, not placed by him, but by his enemies, mocking him. "The mayor's puppet," the captions read. At the local diner, a waitress whispered too loudly, "He's got half the town's kids in his pocket. You'll see, he's planning something." It didn't matter that Marcus spent his nights alone, making instant noodles and rereading his clients' notes to prepare for sessions. In Ravenbrook, truth was whatever fear wanted it to be. One evening, as Marcus locked up, he noticed someone waiting by the curb: Sheriff Daniels. Now, Daniels wasn't exactly known for kindness. He had a reputation for looking the other way when trouble wore a familiar face. But tonight, his jaw was tight, his eyes restless. "Got a minute, Ellison?" he asked. Marcus hesitated. "Depends. Is this official or personal?" "Personal," Daniel said, his voice dropping low. "I've been hearing things. There are folks planning something bigger than letters and paint cans. You need to be careful." Marcus frowned. "Why are you telling me this? Thought you weren't exactly my biggest fan." Daniel shrugged. "I don't like you much. But I like chaos less. And if what I heard is true, Ravenbrook's about to see plenty of it." Marcus nodded slowly. An enemy warning him? That was new. And unsettling. It happened on a Friday evening. Marcus had just finished with a client when he returned to find his office ransacked. Files scattered. Furniture overturned. His counseling journals, the private notes of people who trusted him, gone. But what froze him cold was the message spray-painted across his wall. "We know your secrets." His first thought wasn't himself. It was the Vaughan children. The mayor's children. Everyone who had come to him in confidence. Whoever did this wasn't just trying to scare him anymore. They wanted to burn down his credibility. The next morning, Mayor Lawson stormed into Marcus's office. "This is unacceptable," he thundered, pacing across the wreckage. "Do you know what this could mean if private information gets out?" "My children." Marcus raised his hand calmly. "Mr. Mayor, I never keep names with the notes. They can't tie anything back to anyone." The mayor paused, breathing hard. Relief softened his face, but only slightly. "Still, this is war now. Whoever's behind this won't stop." He looked at Marcus with something more than gratitude this time. It was determination. "If they want a fight, they'll get one. You saved my children. Now I'll protect you." That night, Marcus received a phone call. The voice on the other end was distorted, low, almost mechanical. "You should have left when you had the chance. Next time, it won't just be your office we touch. It'll be the people you protect." The line went dead. Marcus sat frozen, the weight of the threat sinking in. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about everyone who had trusted him. And in Ravenbrook, when trust became a weapon, the whole town could bleed. Ravenbrook woke to rumors. Some whispered that Marcus Ellison was about to leave town. Others claimed he was staying only because the mayor paid him off. And a few, the bold ones, said it was only a matter of time before something happened to him. But Marcus? He sat in his office, still counseling, still listening, still carrying the burdens of people who found in him what Ravenbrook never gave them, acceptance. Yet that phone call the night before echoed in his head. Next time, it won't just be your office we touch. It'll be the people you protect. That was the kind of threat you didn't brush off. The attack on Marcus's office shook the town. To some, it was a disgrace. A man dedicating his life to helping others should never face such hate. But to others, it was proof that he was too dangerous, a sign he should pack up and leave. At the diner, the conversations grew louder. "I heard he's brainwashing our kids," one man barked. "Oh, please," a waitress shot back, slamming down a coffee mug. "If brainwashing means they stop skipping school and start getting jobs, sign me up." The room erupted in awkward laughter. Even Marcus's enemies couldn't deny the change he had sparked. Still, division ran deep. The town was split between those who wanted him gone and those who secretly depended on him. One Sunday morning, as the church bells tolled, Marcus's phone buzzed. It was Martha Vaughn. Her voice cracked with panic. "Mr. Ellison, please, it's Richard. He found out about the kid seeing you. He's furious. He said he's going to expose everything. He's on his way to the mayor right now." Marcus's blood ran cold. If Richard spread the truth about the Vaughn and Lawson children, it wouldn't just ruin reputations, it would destroy families. He grabbed his coat and raced into the storm. Marcus found Richard in the mayor's office. The man was red-faced, fists slamming the mayor's desk as he shouted. "This is corruption. You think he's helping this town? He's poisoning it. And he's corrupted our children. I won't let a black outsider tear down what we built here." Mayor Lawson's jaw tightened. "Careful, Richard. The only thing tearing this town apart is your hate." Richard sneered. "You'll regret siding with him." That's when Marcus stepped in. Calm. Steady. His voice cutting through the chaos. "Richard, your wife came to me. Your children came to me. Not because I'm black. Not because I'm trying to destroy you. But because they were hurting. And you refused to see it." The room went still. Richard's face crumbled for a flicker of a second, then hardened again. "Lies," he spat. But the silence that followed was deafening. Because everyone in that office, even Richard himself, knew it wasn't. Word spread fast. Ravenbrook was a small town, secrets didn't stay hidden. Soon, everyone knew Richard's children had been seeing Marcus. Instead of shaming Marcus, the revelation cracked the town's mask. People began to talk openly, about their marriages, their children, their struggles. About how Marcus had been the only one to truly listen. And for every person who still muttered slurs under their breath, there were two more who quietly admitted, "He helped me, too." Ravenbrook was changing. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But enough to shake the old guard. But change never comes without backlash. 2 nights later, Marcus left his office to find his car engulfed in flames. The fire lit up the street, neighbors pouring out of their houses in shock. Marcus stood in the glow, his face calm even as the flames roared. A child tugged at his sleeve, whispering, "Mr. Ellison, are you going to leave now?" Marcus knelt, looked him in the eyes, and said softly, "Not unless they set me on fire too." The crowd laughed nervously, but in that laugh was relief. Because Marcus wasn't leaving. Not now. Not ever. The mayor acted swiftly. With the sheriff's reluctant cooperation, an investigation began. For the first time, Richard Vaughn's influence couldn't shield him. Evidence of his involvement in the harassment surfaced: the letters, the vandalism, even the fire. Richard was sanctioned, his businesses investigated, his grip on Ravenbrook finally slipping. At the same time, Marcus's new role as Director of Community Wellness expanded. His office grew. His reach widened. And slowly, even those who once hated him had to admit, Ravenbrook was better with him than without. At his first official town hall meeting, Marcus addressed a packed crowd. Nervous teenagers, skeptical parents, even nosy old ladies who came just to see if he'd slip up. "Look," Marcus said with a grin, "I know half of you came here tonight just to check if I'm brainwashing your kids. But if they come home with better grades, less attitude, and maybe even doing the dishes, don't thank me. Thank discipline." The crowd chuckled. Even the mayor laughed. And just like that, the tension eased. Marcus knew the battle wasn't over. Racism didn't vanish overnight. Some neighbors still crossed the street when they saw him. Some still whispered behind closed doors. But something had shifted. Because for every insult, there was a thank you note. For every act of hate, a child walked into his office, ready to heal. For every closed door, another opened. And Marcus realized the real victory wasn't the mayor's support, or even the new office. The victory was this: the people Ravenbrook wanted him to give up on were the very ones who needed him most. One evening, Marcus locked up his office and walked home under the glow of the street lamps. He passed the spot where his car once burned. Now, children played there, their laughter carrying through the night. He smiled. Not because the fight was over, but because it was worth it. As he turned the corner, he noticed an envelope sticking out of his mailbox. He pulled it free, heart tight. Another letter. But this one was different. The handwriting was shaky, the words simple. "Mr. Ellison, thank you for saving my family. M.V." Marcus closed his eyes, the corners of his mouth lifting into the faintest smile. Ravenbrook wasn't fixed. But it was healing. And sometimes, healing was enough to begin again. The story of Marcus Ellison reminds us that hate thrives in silence, but courage thrives in persistence. True change doesn't come from power or politics alone, it comes from choosing to stay, to listen, to heal, even when the world says you don't belong.